What skills are you working on right now to become better at your job?
Skills I'm working on right now. So I spent a lot of time in the academic sector, and it turns out DC is a very political town. So it's an interesting shift. One of the things that being in the academic and nonprofit sector is that information wants to be free, and someone calls you and says, "Oh, can you send me your data set?" No problem. I'll even pay the shipping for you to, we used to make these proteins at one of the labs I worked at, and these HeLa cells, which are made famous by the book that was just put out, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. And so we worked with these HeLa cells, and people would call our lab from all over the world and say, "Hey, we heard you made a new set of cell lines. You ship them to us?" And we're like, "Sure, and we'll pay the shipping. It needs to be frozen on liquid nitrogen. We'll pay for that too." And in DC, not only in my position, but everywhere in DC, there's so many discussions going on. You never really know what the next person is thinking. What is this person strategizing on? If you're an elected official and they may say one thing publicly, they may be reserving what their position is on, and you're always trying to find out what people are thinking. And it's just a very different town to navigate through. You can't call someone up and say, "Hey, send me your entire dossier." I think we just saw in Mother Jones, there was was it Mitch McConnell was taped, talking about campaign strategy, and it was sort of leaked to the press. And, you can't call someone up and say, "What's your campaign strategy?" They'll never tell you. So trying to find out what people's viewpoints and opinions on can be infuriating. Whereas I come from a sector where I'm used to just calling someone up and there's, no reservations. People are very open and they share. And so that's been a real learning experience, sort of learning, what someone is saying and figuring out what they actually may mean. Or reading between the lines and seeing what they're not saying and figuring out what they might mean. And I'm getting very good at prognosticating, with the big election that we just had, the presidential election, and, figuring out which way the presidency is going. I don't know any better than any of the other pollsters do, but we have to spend a lot of time scenario planning, trying to figure out, if the House goes one way, if Congress goes the other way, if the White House goes a different way, how does that impact all the different public policies? And so doing a lot of figuring out about how the political structure will work. So it's a fun process to learn that. You really learn how the American government works. At the same time, it can be frustrating because sometimes you just want to call someone up and say, what do you actually mean? Or you might read something in the paper and then you realize that, someone was misquoted, but you don't know. They're like, "Well, yesterday you told me one thing, and then I saw in the paper they'll say, 'Oh no, that was a misquote,' but was it really?" So